guys, this is Dr. Aaron Ernst, host of the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. I'm so excited you're joining me this week. Today I've got something really phenomenal for you. We're going to be discussing 5 steps to flatten your belly. That's going to get rid of the muffin tops, it's going to get rid of those extra rolls, and of course it's going to help to get you to lose some weight. You know, unfortunately, I think a lot of us think fat is just some sort of thing that we just want to burn off, and we don't really think much of it. But I'm here today to actually tell you about something called visceral fat. It's one of the most dangerous kinds of fats you can have. It's that protruding belly or the muffin top, that little roll right around the belly button that just doesn't seem to want to budge as you're doing your workouts and your diets. Sadly, today we know that, according to the research, that having that extra fat around the abdomen, it leads to some pretty severe diseases. Things like cardiovascular disease, cancer, heart disease, diabetes, even things like arthritis and weight issues. So there's 5 important things that you guys need to know about having that type of fat around the abdomen. The first is that it causes inflammation. We know that excess fat in the abdomen, especially the kind of fat that sits around your organs known as visceral fat, actually produces something called interleukin-6. It's an inflammatory marker, and today inflammation has been linked to almost every known disease out there. So the next time your pants are a little tight or you're having a difficulty hitting that belt notch, I don't just want you to think like, gosh, I need to lose some weight. We're looking at an inflammatory marker that could actually set yourself up for bigger diseases in the future. The second issue with having too much fat around your abdomen is that it actually causes you to have a higher risk of having diabetes. The more visceral fat you have, the higher your chance of having insulin resistance, which is known as diabetes. So we want to make sure we're not just thinning out to make our pants look better or to get into a nice dress, but so we actually reduce our risk for diabetes. Thirdly, many of you have probably seen that it's really hard to lose this fat. And that's partly because it's not just the fat that sits underneath the skin known as subcutaneous. It's actually fat in an organ, possibly your liver or your kidney or in the digestive system. So we need to do more than just losing weight to look good and feel great. We need to lose weight to become healthy individuals. Another aspect of having too much belly fat is, again, the inflammatory markers cause swelling within the arteries and the veins, and it puts stress on your heart. That's why a protruding belly is also linked to heart disease. Lastly, we know, of course, that because there's insulin resistance associated with abdominal fat, if you haven't yet seen this, there's now something called type 3 diabetes. It's insulin resistance within the brain, and that leads to things like cognitive dementia, decline, memory loss, brain fog, and fatigue. So, of course, we want to get rid of those, and we want your belly to look great. We want to thin it out. So here's my 5 steps to flattening those abs, getting your belly back in, and losing that muffin top. Step number 1, you have to remove sugar from your diet. Sugar is one of the main inflammatory factors in our foods today, and it's well known that that little pouch right through here is actually a warning sign of inflammation. So cut the sugars out, cut the refined carbohydrates out, and you'll see a big change with that. Number 2 is you need to increase your fats and proteins. Fats actually help you to burn fat. So we don't want to eat sugars, we want to eat a diet high in fat so we can encourage the fat burning process. Number 3 is we want to do interval style training. That's going to be things like high intensity, low duration, either interval, burst, or what we call max T3 workouts. That's where you're working out for a very short duration but for a high intensity. And we're doing something like push-ups or jumping jacks for 30 or 60 seconds, then we're taking a break, and we're doing that for only about 6 to 12 minutes. The reason that helps to get rid of the belly fat is that it's actually been shown to fix your hormones. And so we have a big player, leptin, we also have ghrelin, and we want to be able to encourage the hormones to flatten the abs out and flatten the belly out. The next one's kind of a tough one, but you want to decrease your stress. Cortisol also tends to put a lot of abdominal fat and visceral fat around the belly. So if you can do things like prayer and meditation and yoga, possibly looking into some of your adaptogenic herbs, which I have listed below for you, those have been shown to significantly decrease the stress response, which helps the cortisol to decline, that helps to get the belly back to being flat again. And lastly, of course, we want to look into things like getting a lot of sleep. You know, there's a lot of studies that show that if you're not sleeping at least 7 to 8 hours on a nightly basis, you're going to start to develop again that cortisol reaction around the abdomen. So there you go, 5 quick steps. and 5 reasons why we want your belly to be flat, and we also want you looking fit and great. If you want some more information and resources, make sure to check out our information. We have some great things over here on the side for you, and we also would love to have you join us every Saturday at 3 p.m. here on News Talk 1110 WBT for the Ask Dr. Ernst Show. Thanks for joining me.